Sunday in this wonderful month of March, moving forward. Oh, February.
We're marching.
Gosh, I'm younger than I thought I was. That has to be good. That has to be good. Okay, so it is March we're marching forward now. And we're looking at this last Sunday of February, which is an invitation to take a deeper look at the building blocks, the spiritual building blocks that we have available to us. And all over the land in our Centers for Spiritual Living, we're asked to look at belief and faith and prayer as these wonderful spiritual building blocks, the foundation upon which our lives can gloriously flow, and you and I can advance and flourish and thrive more fully and deeply. And so that's what we're going to do today. So of course, the bedrock of prayer is indeed belief, is indeed faith. And faith is that conviction, it is that feeling of truth of a condition or an idea. That's what belief is. It's the conviction or feeling of an idea or a condition. And faith is the very same thing. It is the conviction of a feeling of truth of an idea or a condition. What is the difference between the two? Well, a belief can simply be a mental thing. It can be just a mental thing. A belief, I believe this, I believe that, I believe the other. Half the time we don't really believe it at all because our beliefs are mostly imported from our mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and family and relatives and friends and peers and workers and teachers and all of that. And until we have really sat down and decide what we truly believe, there will be that going on. So yes, belief can be just a mental thing. However, faith, no. Faith is absolute, deep, constant, continuous conviction in that one power and what it can do. In that powerful good in the universe, greater than you are, greater than I am, greater than everything is, that uses us and we get to use ourselves. That faith has to be solid, that faith has to be unshakable. Faith is that which in the face of absolutely no evidence to the realization of the good that I want to realize is showing up. But actually sometimes quite the contrary. The evidence is all against the good that I desire to demonstrate. That's what shows up. Faith is, I don't care, I know this, I've owned this, I've claimed this is the way it's going to be, this is the way it is so, and that is that. I will stay on the trajectory of realizing the good that I have decided can manifest through me, and there's no ifs, ands, buts, or doubts about it. Now that is what faith is. It's solid, it never changes, there's no such thing as weak faith. You either have faith or you don't have faith. Faith is strong, faith is immutable, faith is that which always is itself, faith. Belief can come and go and to and fro and all of that, but not faith. And that's the basis upon which our prayer life is based. Our prayer life is based upon that kind of solid bedrock of faith and belief. And so when it comes to prayer, gosh or golly gee, I think we all still have our own ideas of what prayer is all about, and we still sometimes fall back into the traditional understanding of what prayer is. Egerton says that all prayer is answered when you pray aright. Now praying aright doesn't mean getting the formula straight or coming up with these beautiful prosaic or wonderful poetic words and stringing them together, and they sound very charming when somebody else is listening in and so on and so forth. Doesn't mean any of that at all. He's talking about a prayerfulness that is spiritedness, that is consciousness, that is a mentality and an emotionality that's aligned with itself and is an energy that lives and moves and has its being within us, and it's always there. It's not something I go to in prayer. I'm going to prayer now, and I go into my little place and do my prayers and do all. It's not that. That's part of it, because that is the part that gets us open and ready to be and receive what indeed we are. We are prayerfulness itself. We are spiritfulness itself. The spiritful life is a prayerful life. A prayerful life is a spiritful life. That's what prayer really and truly is. But to get there, you and I have to go through a process. And just because we go through the process and get there once, doesn't mean we won't have to go back, go through the process again to get there twice, and so on and so forth, until we get to the place where we're in that mental atmosphere, that emotional atmosphere of prayerfulness or spiritualness, constantly, at least 51% of the time, when we're easily able to move into that energy, when we can take ourselves, we can extract ourselves from the exterior buzz of the senses and go into the thunderous silence and quietness of the soul and be the prayer, be the aliveness of spirit itself. That would be what prayer is all about. However, what is it that we do in order to get ourselves ready to wake up and remember that this is who and what we are, and this is who and what we can do and be? Well, we, as you know, from the time we're near high to a grasshopper, we're saying our prayers we learned, and now I lay me down to sleep. It's one of the first prayers we learn. And we prayed, kneeling by our bedside, and our mums or dads or whoever was with us helping us to, and it was always God bless Mummy, God bless Daddy, God bless, God bless, God bless, God bless, and then we went all around the world in our house. That was our beginning stages to understand that we could relate to this great being called God. And from that now we've come to where we are, wherever we are today with regard to prayer. So to live a spiritful life, a prayerful life, we have gone through the taking of the classes, we have gone through the spiritual practices of prayer, of meditation, of contemplation, of spiritual reading, of coming to services, of, as I say, going to the seminars, taking classes, of journaling. God help us all, we've all journaled up and down the yin-yang. Even some of us amongst the men have journaled up and down the yin-yang and are not that adverse to journaling. And I mean with a pen and a pad, it's easier to go into, nowadays everybody just wants to tap everything into their computers, but for journaling you really need a pen and a pad. And we've done all of that, and that has been a great, wonderful help to us, but it's only the preparation. It's only the preparation. Then prayer itself is the ability, in spite of all the ups and downs in our lives, in spite of all of the challenges we have, in spite of all of the conditions and all of the ailments and all of the situations that would have us think we have a long way to go before we can be these spiritual beings. In spite of all of that, we can sidestep all of that and go straight into understanding. I'm really not my conditions, I'm not my ailments, I'm not all these situations, I'm not all my mistakes, I'm not all my failures, I'm not all my weaknesses, I'm not all of those things. I'm not. It's not as easy to do as it sounds, because we have become so identified with our failures and our faults and our lackings of this, that, and the other, that it doesn't seem possible to go from that right into being one and whole in the presence and in the power and in the essence of spirit, not out there, up there anywhere, but right in here, right in here. I remember it took me forever to grasp that right where I am God is when I first realized that right where I am God is. This was something that was new and different to be thinking about and to be owning and claiming and believing. And so prayer is that sense and sensibility that comes out of the endeavor, out of the journey, out of the process back to, it's always back to and back into the true and real essence of my being and your being. That's all it is. It's the taking away of all of the labels. It's discarding all the labels that we've slapped on ourselves or other people have put on us and we've said, okay, all right, I am that. It's peeling away the outer layers like an onion to get to the core of our being, which is this amazing, absolutely stunning, beauteous, magnificent, power-filled energy, light, love unconditional and unconditional that burns brightly within each and every one of us and could be burning brightly within each and every cell and atom of our bodily, our formed being, if we would let it, if we could but let it, if we could believe it first and then be absolutely convinced and faith-filled around that. And if that were the case, you and I certainly would be at least 51% owning the true essence of our being and causing all kinds of wonderful changes, not only in our own lives, but in all of life. And you're in this room because this can be happening in your life and in mine too. We wouldn't be here listening to this if we were not able for this, if we were not equal to this, if we were not ready for this. And there's something in each and every one of us gets sick and tired of ourselves at times, being sick and tired. There's something within us that knows there's something more than this to me. I'm more than all of this. I don't care what it is, whether it's accomplishments, achievements, failures, or whatever it is. There's always that thing that's pushing us and saying, come on, you're almost there, get it, jump. And so that's what this week is about. That's what today is about, us getting it deeply in our consciousness that we are the prayer and we just have to be it. We're not having to become it, we are it, but we have to be it. We have to recognize it, wake up to it, and say yes to it, and be it. So, the first thing we have to do is understand that all thought is creative, and that attention is the key to life. What I give my attention to, I become. That's the key. Attention is the key to life. What I give my attention to, I become. I have to watch what's going on in my mind, and it's always about mind. The answer is always in the mind. The answer is always in the mind. To everything and anything, the answer is always in the mind. Okay, people come to me and say, oh, Dr. Moira, I've been doing it all. I have been coming to the classes, I've taken the classes, that was great. I'm doing my spiritual reading, I'm doing my contemplation, I meditate, I do my affirmative prayer, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but it's not happening. And then Ernest Holmes would say, all prayer is answered, but I'm not getting my demonstration. Why am I not getting my demonstration? And of course, I remember, and I was sharing this morning, I went back to Dr. Bitzer, my first teacher in religious science, and he would say, when somebody would say that to him, they'd say, okay, is there something in your life that you're not forgiving? Is there unforgiveness in your life left? Do you still have unforgiveness there in your life? No? Okay. Well, are you pledging or tithing to your spiritual home, he would say. I don't know why, but this were the two things that he would say. And he'd say both of those things are necessary. Both of those things are necessary. But you know what? I would add myself to that, what I've read about and heard about and understand for my own self as well, that it's much more about, okay, you've done all your spiritual exercises, you've done your practices, you've done all of that, you're taking all of the classes, but what's your mind like throughout the day? When you leave your meditation room, when you put down your spiritual books, when you come out of the center from class or service, what happens out there in the marketplace in your mind? What is going on in your mind? Is there confusion in your mind? Is there irritation in your mind? Is there annoyance in your mind? Is there anger in your mind? Is there what? Is there judgment in your mind? Is there criticism in your mind? Is there condemnation in your mind? What's going on in your mind out there? That's the key. It's not more spiritual practices. It's not longer times in meditation. It's not taking another seminar. It's about getting what's going on in your mind and my mind while we're out there in life and living in what I call the marketplace, out there in the busyness of the embodiment, out there in the land of the senses. What is occupying mind? Attention is the key to life. What we attend to in our minds, we become. What is going through our minds all of the time? You cannot possibly be praying all the time for prosperity and knowing prosperity and saying the affirmations and rattling them off like a magic formula or whatever else, if at the same time you're feeling poverty consciousness going through your life and living, you're feeling lack and limitation, and I haven't got and I can't and all the rest of it, it's not going to happen. That's the power. There's where you're giving your power, not to the prayer. You're giving your power to the contemplation of lack, limitation, ailment, whatever it is, loss, loneliness, whatever it is we're contemplating most of the time. There's where the power is going, and that's stopping and blocking the flow of the good that you choose and want to realize. It cancels out your prayer and your study and all the rest of it, because you're not feeling the study and the prayer and all the rest of it. You're feeling the lack. You're feeling the limitation. You're feeling the loss. You're feeling whatever negation it is you're feeling. And that's where your power is. And that's what's growing deeper and higher and wider into your life. Because what we attend to in our minds, we become. Now, what is it about that we're not getting? You cannot just be holy, holy over here in this corner in your little prayer room when you're in the upper room and all is well and you've taken off your shoes, you've entered into the upper room, your thoughts are good and pure and lovely. And then for most of the time when you're out in the marketplace, oh good God, my God, this is so hard, this is so difficult, I can't, oh Jesus, Mary and Joseph, what am I going to do? I have that meeting, I'm not prepared for that meeting, and that fellow, if I have to face him one more time, and as for her over there, oh Mother of Jesus, lift me up, take me out of my sorrow and my sorrow. What did I do, God, to deserve this in my life? I'm doing my best, God, how come this is always happening to me? Now, what's going on most of the time? Just saying, if that's going on most of the time, you can understand why you're not as healthy as you would like to be, you're not as wealthy as you would like to be, you haven't got those gorgeous, wonderful, loving relationships the way you'd like them to be, and you're not creatively expressing the way you'd like to be. You see? That's how it works. Mind, mind, mind. It's all in the cupboard of your mind. It's all in the cupboard of your mind, in the laboratory of your mind, and whatever you want to call this thing in mind. And I'm pointing to my temples, but mind is as much in my little finger as my mind is in here. It's all one thing. So whatever it's going to be, it's up to you. It's decisions you're making all of the time. It's the meanderings of your mind that's creating your experiences all the time, and mine. And boy, do I have to catch up on all of that. I have my work cut out for me, I realized this week. Got to take care of all of this going on. Because if we don't, we're not going to live the true essence of our being. We're not going to experience. Imagine leaving this earth, never experiencing our true essence. Imagine that. I think that is just not acceptable, I say. It's just not acceptable. I'm not going to go through all of this stuff and then not come home to myself and leave this place knowing, good God, I have to do this over again? I don't think so. I want to do it once on this plane, I know this plane is beautiful, it's wonderful, it has chocolate, and I know it's worthwhile being here. And for the wine drinkers, it has wine, and for the cheese eaters, it has cheese, and so on. But there are other great, beautiful dimensions that you can experience. There are wonderful, great places to experience, states to experience beyond this one. Wouldn't it be nice to be in a state, in a place, or whatever you want to call it, where nothing has to die so that we can live, nothing has to die so that we can eat, nothing? Wouldn't that be nice? Or whatever your fantasy is, there are those states ready and waiting for us. But we've got to clean up our act here on planet Earth first and sort ourselves out right here, because we can. And guess what? You and I signed up for this, believe it or not. We signed up for this. We said, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I can do that. And here we are. So how are we doing it? That's the question. Your mind will tell you how you're doing it right now. The power of the mind is limitless. Say it. The power of my mind is limitless. Again, the power of my mind is limitless. Again, the power of my mind is limitless. And that's all you and I need to know. And then take charge and be the director of that consciousness. Be the director of that mind. Decide what thoughts will filter through your mind. Because whatever they are, they're going to be activating something in your emotional system too. Your emotional system will correspond to the thinking in your mind. And when those two align themselves, I'm telling you, that's pretty potent stuff. And if they're not on the affirmative side of life, life is not going to be all it could be. It's not going to be healthy and happy and all the rest of it. It's going to have amazing challenges. Amazing challenges. And negativity, negativity, negativity. You and I have every opportunity to tune into it and plug into it. Just have to look outside in the world and you can see what you're paying attention to. If what you're paying attention to in your mind is negative, you're going to find negativity everywhere you go. You're going to hear negativity everywhere you go. You're going to see negativity everywhere you go. However, if you're tuned into the wonder and the glory and the beauty and the grace of this planet of ours and the beautiful people that are in it, and you're focused on the beautiful people that are in it, that's what you're going to meet and see. That's what you're going to meet and see. So the whole idea is to be without judgment, not to be complaining, not to be condemning, not to be condoning this, that, and the other, not to be, not to be anything that smacks of that which does you harm or anybody else harm. And negativity does us all harm. Negativity harms us all. And if I'm harming myself through negativity, I'm harming all of life through negativity. So it's up to you and it's up to me to lighten it up, to bring it up. And when I say lighten, L-I-G-T, the light and the fire that is the center core of your being could be released, could be unleashed out there into the world and make the difference. And another thing I have to say, I was kind of shocked last night when I read in one of Eric Butterworth's books, and he's talking about profanity, and he's talking about the slapdash, easy, go-lucky sort of tendency nowadays to be so permissive with regard to profanities in life and living. And he says, any spiritual student of truth needs to avoid profanity at all costs, he says, especially four-letter words. He says, because that is an energy, every word has an energy around it, and when it goes out there into the universe, it's reverberating throughout the universe, and it is eternal. Energy is eternal. And he had some, oh my goodness, I felt slapped up and down the yin-yang when I finished reading that page. I meant to bring it out and share it with you. And I hadn't given that part too much thought lately, but I was a little bit perturbed when I heard some young folk at the convention use profanities. And I thought, well, yeah, I know, but still, is it me? Am I just being old-fashioned or something or whatever? But it never boded well with me, never ever boded well with me. Those words always grated on my nerves, I have to tell you. And every once in a while, I've said a word or two, I can tell you, when I was pushed to the pin of my collar. And you know what? Because it was so rare for me to do that, it worked. In a strange way, it worked. But anyway, be aware of profanity. Remember, he says, if the world could be changed today if every single one of us could decide for one day to speak only about things that are uplifting and affirming and constructive, and to speak in a way that is an upliftment to life and living. He said the whole world could be changed. If just we could do it for one day, just one day, if all the world could do that, can you imagine? We would be living in that beautiful world of serenity that we all long for. So let's bring ourselves to that in this ending of this. Maybe we could do it before February ends, because this is the season for nonviolence. And within the season for nonviolence, we celebrate Black History Month. And I've been enjoying very much all the Black history that we've been given to watch on, PBS and channels like that. And I've loved it. And I've loved seeing these wonderful, amazing people who have made such a difference in our lives and living. We've come a long way if you look back into our history. We are improving, but we have a long way to go. And so many wonderful African Americans have given us so much and been such wonderful examples to us through all of our growing up from the 50s and the 60s and before that. They really have done a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful service to us all, with the focus and the emphasis on doing it in a peaceful way. Like Gandhi did, like Nelson Mandela did, and Mother Teresa did. And so you and I get to be the Gandhis, and get to be the Martin Luther Kings, and get to be the Mother Teresas, and get to be the Nelson Mandelas now. People say, oh, we need more Nelson. But you get to be them. I get to be them. We all get to be them now. That's their legacy. We must keep their legacy going. So peace upon us all, coming from within us all. And we are knowing only the one thing, that the mind that is within us is the mind that was in the Christed Jesus. And that same mind that was Christed in Jesus is Christed in you. We just have to wake up to it. We just have to know who we are. And who we are is just the image and the perfect likeness of divinity, which is life and light and love and peace and beauty and power and joy and wisdom and more. And that's what we are.